we called him Wormy because he was a worm farmer. He raised worm castings for plants, for the plant food or whatever it is. But anyway, those were our two closest neighbors. And then behind our property was just pretty much the woods.
Interesting. Now,
and then my wife Cindy, she still works. She works in Eugene, Oregon as a mental health therapist. She runs a place there. She runs a clinic for Willamette family up there. And she's like me. We were like the biggest non-believers, the biggest try to debunk everything on earth to the 10th power. And after this stuff started happening, my saying came out about 3 months later was I was normal when I got here, and that's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah.
We would take a week to tell you everything that happened there. And Cindy, my wife, she's like, that could have, satellite could have knocked that off the tree and landed on your car. But pretty soon she was like, no, something's going on here. And then when we first moved in there, we were gardening in the back, planting our garden, and we heard some howling stuff up in the woods. And she's like, oh, my God, what is that? And I know all the animal sounds. I know foxes and coyotes. They can, bobcats, mountain lions, they can all make these screamy, squilly, weird sounds, coyotes. I've been in the woods my whole life, basically. And these sounds are nothing like that. Something with a set of lungs that can go for 2 minutes straight. There's nothing that can let out a scream for 2 minutes straight. I don't care what you are. Your lung capacity just can't do it. But, it took my wife a little longer because she was at work every day when I was walking out and seeing a rock sitting on the top of my pickup. And like, what? Like Toby, we thought that someone was messing around with us at first. And then one day I drive down to my mailbox, which was a mile away, in my little truck, and come back and went in the house. And then I had come back out about an hour later, and here's 4 rocks sitting on top of the actual cab of my 4-door little truck.
Oh, that's a dead giveaway. Something was going on.
We're out in the sticks. No, we could hear anyone driving up in the gravel, or my little dog would bark if someone was driving up. It just stands a hair up on the back of your neck, and you don't know what to think.
Did you or your wife ever get scared in any of these situations?
I got real scared one night when I was standing in the stoop of Toby's little travel trailer, and something ran up behind me. That was probably the most scared I was.
So, I mean, really at that point, I had moved my 16-foot camper, and Darrel and I had taken a night walk, and this was kind of early on, and I had a very small FLIR unit, and it kind of mounted on top of the camper like a submarine, and so I had a little telescope sitting up there, and we, kind of monitoring the tree line and the gravel driveway. And Darrel and I would walk down towards these sheepdogs, these Pyrenees sheepdogs, and we would hear stuff. We would hear whoops near Darrel's house as we walked away. I don't think it was that night, but we did on one occasion. And so we came back to the trailer to check my FLIR unit. And as I walked in there and grabbed it out of the bathroom and closed the vent, we hear, an elephant on 2 legs jumping out of the bushes, running right for Darrel's backside. Now, that's something that specifically had happened to me back in 2011 time frame up in a place called Vida, Oregon. And I had that happen to me in the middle of the day, something that sounded like an elephant on 2 legs charging at you. You turn around, there's nothing there. There's absolutely no way for that to be explained. Now Darrel's having this happen, and it's coming at him. And so I swing my FLIR around, and I didn't have the wherewithal to point it at anything. I was more concerned, like, what's going to happen next? And the invisible something behind us ran right into the tree line and leapt into the blackberry bushes and the dried leaves. And that was kind of Darrel's intro into, the next level of camouflage, if we're going to call that. And it got weirder from there. I mean, the gifts that would show up got more complex. They seemed to have really specific meanings. Cindy was kind of daring the phenomena to show itself and bring things. So, for example, Cindy said, bring us gold. Well, that's a pretty specific thing to ask for. And the next day, on top of they like to leave things on top of the vinyl awning of my camper, which is about, I'm guessing, 7.5 feet up or something like that. And as we're standing on the carport talking about everything going on, sitting on the vinyl awning is a gold shimmer. And I said, Darrel, is that a piece of gold on top of my awning? And we both just, our mouths were just kind of gobsmacked. And so we walk over there, and you helped me with this one, Darrel. It was like a brass gold bullet casing from the turn of the century, right?
Yeah, it was an old Peters, like a rifle casing, bullet casing from like 94 or something like that. And it was smashed down, and it was really shiny. So it kind of, the sun would really reflect off of it. It looked like gold from a distance. So we ended up getting it, and I looked online, and I found it online that it was a 1894, whatever, Peters repeating rifle cartridge.
Very interesting.
Now, I mean, how would that ever go up 7.5 feet from the deck? It was those kind of obvious things. And Cindy would continue to taunt the phenomena or ask it to do things, and it would perform for her. She had recently had heart surgery, and sitting below her hummingbird feeder in the backyard, her specific area was a little glass heart sitting below the hummingbird feeder. Very specific something that just showed up. There's no denying the fact that a little glass heart doesn't just wander in, sitting up against the tree below a hummingbird feeder on its own. I know that crows and critters can do these things here out of habit or creativity, but a lot of what we saw took fingers. And I was still kind of privately toying with the fact that this might be this wormy guy, right? He's kind of an odd person, and he's, I can see his farm from Darrel's house. And so we kind of ingratiate ourselves with this dude and start talking to him because he has a lot of acreage back there. And I kind of want to figure out if this is the source. Like maybe he's got a listening device or watching us, and just maybe he's a weirdo. But, I think he had stuff going on his property, because he told me that he saw a glowing blue-eyed bear approach him one evening as he was going to get some firewood. And he said, it kind of freaked him out, and he thought it was, a giant bear with glowing blue eyes, according to him, and it walked on 2 legs and kind of danced on him as he went back to his house. And I think he told Darrel a totally different story. I think he straight up told you that he saw a Bigfoot, yes?
Yeah, he eventually told me that. He just kind of wanted to kind of fill us out at first, use the bear, He thought it was a bear walking on 2 feet because he didn't want to seem weird. But he told me he was going out to his woodshed about 10 at night to restoke the fire in the winter, and then he had a little mag light in his hand, and he heard something to the left of him up the road a little bit there on his trail that goes up into his woods, and he saw this thing standing up. He said he figured it was about 8 foot, and it had these glowing blue eyes when the flashlight hit it. And he got his wood, and he started to turn around to head back to his house, and it had approached him a lot closer. So he threw the wood down. When he shined the light back, he saw it had gotten a lot closer. So he threw the wood down and ran in the house. That's what he told me. But he eventually told me it was a big, hairy looking thing standing about 8 foot tall.
Just to fool us. But then I find out that this whole phenomenon of seeing a blue-eyed creature roaming around in those woods had been seen by other people that didn't know this guy. I stayed at a motel down the road once and talked to the house cleaning lady and asked her about the area. And she said, oh, yeah, it's okay until the sun comes down and you see this blue-eyed crawling spider coming at you. And I said, wait, what did you say? And she goes, well, it moved like a spider, but it was huge, and it had these bright blue eyes. So
that would make sense, like it was down on all floors, like you're talking about.
Now, one thing, guys, you got to give each other a little time because you're sometimes talking both at the same time, and that doesn't work out too good. So you know.
Right, there's a slight delay. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say that the gal that told you about the blue-eyed spider thing, that would make more sense of it being down on all fours, like James had seen the thing running in Canada on up and down.
Right.
Well, it actually wasn't James, it was me.
Right. Gary, I don't know if you want to play any of these clips here. I sent you some audio clips here that maybe the audience will appreciate. Clip 1, 2, and 3 are all kind of...
Why don't we do clip 1? Because, you know, in about 3 minutes, we have to take a break for the news and, you know, the commercials for the radio stations. But if you want to do, like, number 1 now, we can certainly do that, and you can talk about it for a minute or two.
Sure. Well, for the sake of time, why don't we just play clip 2 since we're on the subject of Bigfoot? And these are the wood hits and knocks that Darrel got shortly after he moved in and started to record outside.
Okay, let me play it.
Right, so those are 4 specific separate sounds from different nights. There were so many sounds that he recorded, and you know, I think by the end of it, we had like 1,400 hours worth of audio in 2018 between both of us. So those were 4 different sounds from 4 different nights, and each one of those has a real wood knocky cadence to it or a pop, and there really was no reason for that to happen as often as it did, and especially right on his property, you know, maybe only feet away from his recorder.
Now, did you guys ever set up any video cameras or anything to, you know, watch the property? Because since you were getting donations from whatever it is that was out there, did you ever try to capture it on video?
We did. We used the thermal unit. I think we caught a cougar. We did catch a cougar on camera. Once in a while, we'd see the farmer down the road come on the gravel road, so he had a real specific time that he would drive up the gravel driveway. We caught that. The thermal unit wasn't producing anything of significance. It wasn't really a good one, but Darrel put up a game cam, and in the game cam, we caught some interesting stuff. One of the things he caught was, a light anomaly of some kind that looked like a free-floating light bar, almost like maybe a 12-inch long tube of light with a light box ahead of it. And it was about 5 or 4 feet off the deck. And it was 3 frames of this self-illuminating white IR lens photograph of what looked like, you know, floating light in the sky. Now, it had nothing connected to it. There was no, you know, metal siding of an F-150 attached to it. We tried to debunk whether or not this was simply just a pickup truck and a reflection, but the light was coming out of the woods from an embankment, which didn't make any sense, towards the camera, kind of kitty corner to the camera. And then why don't you tell them about the hair that showed up on camera, Darrel?
Oh, yeah, I got on my game cam card, my SIM card or whatever they are, I got I don't know, what is it, like 30 hits, like almost one after another. I think it lasted for about 3 minutes. Got 30 photos of it, just a hairy thing right up against the camera. And what's weird is from, I don't know, about 3, I can't remember the time, but the temperature changes from, I can't remember what it was, like 52 to 60